Okay. So yeah, I'm very, very welcome to everyone, and let's see how we can do a very quick check-in, and especially you now, Luis, and also Hadil, if you have any questions and also things you want to talk about, you can also already mention them in the check-in, so Jules knows what she can work with in this session. And yeah, we see how it goes today. So maybe Luis, you want to start? You were the first one in here.
Thank you so much. I have today have some problems with the connection. My connection is a bit poor. I'm in a different location, not in my usual location.
Yeah,
So
okay, we can hear you, Luis, so the sound is okay.
I've been busy during the week and I could not make it to drop the video. And also I have some challenges with my phone. I'm using a phone that has very bad camera. And I tried to do it, but it was not making sense. So I requested a friend's phone, but the guy troubled, and hopefully by the end of this week, he will come back. By Sunday there, I think I'll be able to do it, and I'll submit as soon as possible. It actually interrupted me from submitting my video.
Thank
But
you.
I'll do that. But for now, I don't have questions in regards to it. I watched the video and everything is really clear. Yeah.
Thank you, Luis. Yeah, that's perfect to let us know, and it's really no problem at all. The application video you sent in was really good quality, so I don't know who helped you there, but you used maybe another phone that was really good, so this would be enough to do. And as Jules already wrote in the chat, it's also okay if you send it later, so we can then talk about it. So Hadil just dropped off. I don't know whether maybe also there the connection was just too bad. Rukaya, do you have anything from some of the attendees what you might bring into this session? Rukaya also has bad connections.
Hello.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you, Rukaya. I was just asking Rukaya whether you have more information about from the attendees. It's shaking. I will write you in the chat, Rukaya.
I think one of them.
Yeah, your connection is a little bit shaky, so I will write in the chat.
And the other one wants to have a phone call just to discuss the conference, I think.
So maybe let us introduce Jules then, as long as Rukaya's Amal coming in, that's good. And let's just wait for a second until Amal is in here. Amal is, she's the one.
Yeah, sure.
Ah, hi Amal. Hi Amal, can you hear us?
Hi, how are you?
I'm very good. How are you doing?
Fine, alhamdulillah.
Very nice you are here. You know that Ibrahim cannot make it today?
No.
Yes,
I don't take contact with Ibrahim.
Yeah, his daughter is in the hospital, so he needed to go.
Yeah.
He's not here today. So just let me know if we have to speak more slowly so that you can follow, okay?
Okay.
Great that you're here, Amal. So there's Rukaya coming back. Yeah, let's give Jules a little bit time to introduce herself and say hello. And my recommendation for this session would be that, Luis, you said you had a little bit of a challenge or also maybe have some questions how to do the video, and then we can work with you as an example. Or also Amal, if you have questions or you want to know and want to get more support, you can also let us know. And I would then happily hand over to Jules, and please really feel free to ask all the questions you brought, okay? So over to you, Jules.
Well, thank you, Dani. And Luis and Amal, I'm very happy to meet you, Rukaya. Lovely to have you here too. So the reason really why Dani asked me to be here today is because one thing that I do is I work with people together when they really want to present something important to them, like a speech or a presentation, or they are guests in a panel. And yeah, so really what we do is just basically looking together at what is there already and how is it possible to maybe improve that presentation or that speech. And the way what I really concentrate on is Edith, obviously, that you met last week, is concentrating a lot about the content and the storyline. And something that I really concentrate on is the how you are presenting. So that has to do with basically, what are you wearing? What is your body language? What is your mimic, your gestures? So all that obviously plays a big role. And that is something that we're looking at a little bit when I work together with clients. So as Dani just said, one thing that could maybe for today work out is that you, maybe Luis wants to start, kind of just give us a little bit of an example of, how you basically really start into your presentation. And then we just have a little bit of look, just a little bit, feedback basically for you. What works well and what is maybe something that we can still improve. Luis, would you feel comfortable doing that and starting today? Luis, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear.
Wonderful. Well, how do you feel, Luis, about basically doing a little live presentation from everything that you have prepared so far? And we have a little bit of a look into it, especially concentrating on the how of the delivery.
Thank you so much. And in regards to the session speaker coaching, I have some few questions. Like which background is recommended when it comes to a live presentation? Because like if you'll be doing a presentation, you'll be designing a video, or you'll be shooting a video. Which kind of background is it recommended? Like for it to correspond, does it requires like your backgrounds to correspond with your story? Or does it require like your background needs to correspond with the clothes that you wear? Or there's a way of doing it? And that's one. Two is like, how do you normally do, like how do you make sure that you capture the attention of the audience, like the people who are watching, leave along the story itself, but you are how you look, like about the body languages, which type of body languages are just recommended for someone to easily like watching your video, maybe like your presentation, if it is a presentation, how should you look like? That's first respond to those ones, and I'll ask you. Still have two more questions. Thank you so much. I don't know if you people heard me. Like I said in the beginning, I have some challenges with internet today.
All right. Luis, I'm so sorry, but I didn't hear your first question. I didn't hear that. Oh, okay. Danny just said that she put it in the chat. So what background shall we use in the video? Okay. In my experience and how I see it, Luis, is that I find it super important that you show your real background. I would not recommend, because in the different programs that we are using, Zoom or Teams, you have obviously the option to hide the background. And that is something that I would definitely not do. So I would definitely go for the real background. And the beauty of it is that it tells itself a little bit of a story about yourself. So I don't know if you actually switched on the video right now, but in my background, you can right now see some things that my daughter crafted. She's very much into Halloween. And so by seeing this background, you already get a little bit of an idea, you know, of who this person maybe is. And it just makes everything a lot more authentic. What I would definitely try to do is to make it not too distracting. So you don't want to have too many things going on in the background. And you don't want to necessarily have, you know, other people behind you or people waving or things like that. So I wouldn't recommend that. I think it will also distract you yourself. So I would just try. I actually saw the video that you showed me earlier, right, Danny, with the hut in the background. Yeah, that was Luis, right? Yeah, I thought that background was brilliant. I really liked it, and it's actually interesting that you asked that question, because Dani pointed it out earlier, that she said that she thought that the composition was quite beautiful of you standing there and the background. So I think that was, for example, a very good choice. Yeah, so make sure you don't hide your background with the programs. Try to remember that you don't want it too distracting for someone, but you can definitely give a hint of you know, who you are, where you are. That's totally fine. So the second question was, yeah, I think that's actually a good one. How important is the background correspondent to the story? And that's exactly it. That's what I would definitely say. Try to keep it authentic. So show the people a little bit of where you are and the beauty, if you can, of your country. That's obviously yeah, that's something that I would definitely do. But I would always just say, as a standard answer to that one, try to be as authentic as you can be. All right, so the next question that I actually wrote down is, how do you capture your audience attention? And that is a brilliant question. Luis, do you have any idea? Is there anything that comes to your mind when you think of your audience and what you personally can do with your presentation to make it as attractive and as yeah, captivating as possible? What comes to your mind?
Thank you so much for answering those previous questions. Um, what normal comes to my understanding is to have an active body language, putting a smile. That's what comes normal to my mind. That's why I try to ask you exactly what are other things apart from the one I know, or the one that normal comes to my mind. Thank you.
I think Louis, the most important one you just said yourself. I think to me it's definitely a smile. I think that's the way how you really start relating to someone. I think that is really a super important one, and it is one that that we also tend to forget, because when we do our presentation, we tend to be a little bit nervous, and we want to, deliver a great presentation. So sometimes just, hormones and just, being nervous, it all kicks in, and then suddenly we can become quite serious. So I think it's a super important thing to really practice as much as possible, so that you know your content and that you then are able to refine those things with what you just said, with smiling, with definitely a body language, that speaks to the people. I would also have a little bit of a look at it, maybe have friends give you a little bit feedback on what your body language comes across like. Because sometimes people, when they get nervous, they can also portray that to the outside and kind of have like a nervous body language. So that's definitely something to look at. And another thing that I find super important is when it comes to capturing the audience, is to really understand also your audience a little bit. So who are these people in front of me? What are they mostly expecting? And one thing to definitely capture the attention is to start in, for example, with something that people don't necessarily expect. That could be a very interesting fact about you, something. Usually people, they get captured when it is something emotional. So if it's maybe something that you share about yourself, something that maybe surprises people. Another one that definitely captures attention is in the very beginning already asking a question. Something that the audience right away, if you ask that question, kind of really just, it makes it easy, for them to land in your presentation and within your topic. So that those are things that will definitely capture attention. Another one that is a great one, Louis, is actually that is for within the presentation, to every now and then do a break. We call it a dramatic break, because this is usually when people, because we don't have, none of us, by the way, has a huge attention span. And within the presentation that maybe goes on for 10, 15 minutes, when we listen to that presentation, we will zoom in and out. That's totally normal. That's what we humans do. And when you do one of those dramatic breaks, for example, that's definitely something where people, once they zoomed out, they will literally right away come back, because they will kind of want to find out, why is there this break? And it's definitely something that you want to practice a little bit. It's nothing that I would just do. And this is all things that I really strongly recommend to try out and do once you really have all your content together and you really know what you want to say. Because the how can really only be refined once the what is really clear to you, and you really know what is the message that I want to send. What is it really that I want to bring across? And that's obviously what you did with Edith in the last week. Yes. Yes. So Danny,
Thank you so.
You go, Luis.
Thank you so much. You have really helped me. And just a simple one on because we'll be focusing more on video. I understand what the other things that you mentioned. It will also help me during my presentation, like my community or other things. But let's just highlight particularly the one that responds to video. Because in the video, you'll not be having like audience, only the camera person. That will be the only person at the moment. And you'll not be allowing questions in the video. I don't know if you can clarify for me some few that are mandatory when it comes to a video, just like recording a video, apart from like having a normal presentation.
So in a video, like even if you make a video, you can still ask a question. You can totally do that. You know, you can go in with like, have you ever wondered why everyone loves the sun? You know, and then you don't necessarily, because you're taking a video, you don't get an answer back, but it's something that you then can answer yourself. So that would be actually an example of starting in with a question, taking a little break so that you know, okay, my audience, the people in front of the screen, they will now think about it. And then you count, 21, 22, and then you can say the answer yourself, because obviously there's no one there who will say the answer. So you can still totally use this, but you just kind of think, okay, so my audience isn't here, they're not live here, they're in front of the screen. So what would work for them? And another one, Luis, would be to really do, if you have the possibilities, to do a little bit of research and see who does great videos and who does great speeches, on a video. And what is it exactly that person does? And one person or one thing that you will always see that those people do is, for example, really looking right into the camera, because that gives the viewer the impression that you look them in the eye. So that, for example, is one thing that you kind of always want to do. And I remember when I did my first video with someone who was a little bit more of a professional, they realized in the beginning that I was quite stiff, because I myself, I'm not a huge fan of having videos taken of me. It's not my favorite thing. I also don't love pictures. It's just nothing that I love. But it's obviously something that I sometimes have to do. And I remember the first time when I did like a semi-professional video, the person behind the camera said to me, Jules, I need you to do one thing. I need you to imagine that in this camera that you look into, there isn't a camera, but there is your daughter. There is your daughter smiling at you, and you are telling her the story. And that was a great tip for me, because the moment that I imagine not the camera being there, but my daughter, something that makes me smile, that makes me happy, gives you a little bit of a glow, and you suddenly come across a little bit more natural. So that could be one idea to try out. So you think, Luis, of someone that is really dear to your heart, and you just imagine that person behind the camera, and you kind of think of that person while you're talking, and that suddenly creates a very different vibe. Okay, I want to move on right now to Amal, because Amal sent a few questions as well. So I'm just reading it out loud, okay? So because I haven't read it yet. So I expect that it is important to make the background suitable for the story, but it looks like it will be difficult, and also the quality of my camera is poor, but I will try. Yeah, I think, Danny, have you guys already done that session where you talk about technical support? Okay. So this is definitely something that you will cover as well, where you talk about really the actual, like how do you make best use of the resources that you have, and that is including the background and how to use your camera even if it isn't the best quality. And then Amal also says, I have a question, although I'm very interested in this event, but I will present the story in Arabic. Will it be appropriate?
No, just I already on the point of focus in the video point.
Äh, 15:20 Uhr. Ja. Okay. Mach mal deinen Sound an.
Amal, you read my answer already, right? That it's okay that you are going to speak in Arabic and we find a translation for it. So that will be fine. Yeah, she's also more comfortable in writing back in the chat because she's not so fluent in English. So that's why we are chatting on the side all the time. So she gave some examples, really sweet, like to get audience's attention. You can see at 3:24, for example, draw, I expect that the audience's attention can be drawn by mentioning examples and situations, as well as smiling and using body language.
Yeah, that's brilliant. Absolutely.
And then below 3:30, she says, I expect that the most important points to focus on during the video will be mentioned. So when she's doing a video, the most important things are mentioned in the video.
I would also like to say a little bit, because it's something that Luis earlier mentioned as well, is about your attire. So what is it that you're going to wear? What is great, what isn't great? And it's actually, in my humble opinion, it's very easy. I would go as neutral as possible, because what you guys are doing is you are transporting a very, very important message, things that are really, really dear to your heart, things that mean a lot to you. So in your case, what you really want is put as much attention as possible to the words that you are saying, to your content. So I would try to really put the emphasis on this, and maybe not so much on a very loud outfit. And when I talk about a loud outfit, what I mean? I wouldn't go for extremely colorful or multicolored shirts or dresses. I would try to, you can see it right now with Dani and me, we're in this muted colors. So it's just not very loud, and it doesn't distract you guys from what we're actually saying. One thing that we find, especially when taking a video with the women, is that it's very often quite nice when you wear a little bit of lipstick, because the lips, they just come out a little bit better, and the lips is what you want the people to look at. Because that's obviously, that's where the words come out. So very often it just is for the video really nice if the women wear a little bit something on their lips. I would also recommend to not wear too much jewelry. So anything that could be perceived as very loud or distracting is what I recommend for you guys to avoid this time. There's definitely a time when that is great. You know, sometimes you want a lot of attention on your outfit, and then that's totally brilliant. But for what you guys are doing right now, I would just try to be as neutral as possible. Also, are there more questions right now? No. Another thing that I just want to share with you is Amal actually started a little bit already writing down what it is that an audience loves. And I would love to share a little bit more of a few, you know, ideas of what an audience reacts to usually very well. And one thing is definitely being engaged. And again, think of yourself. So when have you seen a video and you felt really engaged? And it is usually when someone asks you a question, or it is something I get very engaged. That's me personally. I know it's true for Danny as well, because I know Danny. I get engaged when things are emotional. So when people become personal about their story, when they really share something that is dear to their heart, maybe something that made them very, very happy, but also something that maybe made them sad, something that they're ready to share and that people can relate to. That is usually something where people really get engaged. I just today, I showed Danny, when we had our lunch break, I showed Danny a cooking show. And it's a cooking show that is really, really well done with very, very beautiful images. And there was one chef who became very, very emotional because he was talking about his journey and how he was for a very long time looking for approval from the outside. And he, at some stage in his career, he felt like he really, really got this approval. And he talked about it. And while he talked about it on camera, he started crying. And I started crying too. And it was a cooking show. So it's a little bit unexpected. You don't usually would think in a cooking show it gets that emotional. But it was. And it was really, I don't know, I just felt very touched. And it made me somehow feel so much respect for that person as well. But it doesn't, don't get me wrong, okay? It doesn't always have to be a sad story. It can also be a success story or something that just made you very happy. But yeah, I think people love it when you share about yourself. People definitely like it when you look at them. So Louise, again, that refers a little bit to looking into the camera, making the people feel like you really look at them. And an audience, very often, they also like confidence. So if you understand how to portray confidence, you know, and that's, for example, body language, you know, putting your back, you know, those things, smiling, as Louis said earlier, those are things that will show and portray confidence. And that is something that an audience usually likes. Something that an audience doesn't love too much is when they are approached with too much theory, too much information, like too much numbers, too much, just, you know, like if it gets too dry, that's something where people usually switch off. Yeah, so don't bring in too much theory and too many numbers. Bring in your own experiences, something that they usually really like. They love the personal story. I said that already. And something that an audience really likes as well is if you create an image in their brains. So if you really speak in ways that people start imagining things, that is usually when they really go out and they go and tell their friends about it. So try to think about when that happened to you. So when was the last time someone said something and you right away had an image in your head? What happened there? So try to, when you go through your presentation, go through it and see where you can create those images. And also another one, and the last one that I want to share for today, is the factor of being really you, just being authentic. Just remember that you don't have to play a role. You don't have to be anyone else apart from your lovely selves, because that's really what the people want to see, especially really in your context. They want to get to know you and they want to hear your story and your experiences. So be authentic and do not hesitate to show an emotion when it shows up. Sometimes we get a little bit overwhelmed. In the last Voice Your Mind program, there was someone singing a song from their country, and it was something that that person felt really, really strong about, and he felt that that song played a big part in his personal rescue. And he got quite emotional when he talked about it. And that's totally fine. You don't have to at all be worried about showing an emotion, if it's, you know, joy or even if it's a tear. It doesn't matter. People actually, they like it a lot when they see that you are just being honest and authentic.
Great, thank you, Jules, for all the impressive and really nice tips. We already said in the chat that we will collect everything and also share it in the WhatsApp group we have, so more people can make use of it. And obviously you already have some of the things in your presentation as well. So thank you so much for sharing. And I would like to, and one more time, give Amal and Luis and maybe even Rukaya, if you have ideas, the chance to ask a round of last questions before we then today close the call. So, oops, now Luis we lost Luis. So Amal and Rukaya, if you have any more questions, Amal, you can also share it in the chat if you want.
Thank you. Thank you. I don't have any question.
Okay, thank you, Amal.
I sort of have one question. I was just wondering, in terms of like a narrative, I don't know if it would be useful, like in the sense, like not just having the person kind of just sit there and talk, but also showing a bit of like, in the sense, like you spoke about the background that is there behind the person who's speaking, but also maybe a few clips showing, I don't know, maybe like a routine or something that kind of makes it feel like a movie. Do you know what I mean? Is that something that you would advise, or is that something that you'd rather focus mainly on the person and just what they're saying?
I think, Rukaya, it depends a little bit on what the resources are. I would say if you have good resources and you are able to create this in a way that it just really looks afterwards like really nicely done, you know, then I would say use it. What we found also in the last group, that when it has been used and it was used in a way that was just looked too amateurish, then I would say do not even bother. So you want to have, because the people, they are so used to seeing things, and as I said earlier, the attention span is not very long. And if people have the feeling that the quality isn't great, or that something is just really done in a way that it even becomes more distracting, then I would say leave it out. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah, that makes sense. Also, do all the videos need to have subtitles in terms of user friendliness, or?
Maybe I can answer to that. These are all questions, Rukaya, you bring up. We will also concentrate on in the content creation part. And there is an opportunity in YouTube Studio today that we can, do automatic translation with subtitles if we need to. So we will have a look at the videos and see whether the English is as good enough as everyone would understand, or whether we feel that due to maybe also the noise in the background or to some dialect or something, we might use subtitles for those videos where we feel it's recommended.
Right, thank you. All the other tips were also really useful. Thank you so much, Jules.
I think Danny just had to do a move, something that we have to do in this household quite often. I have a quite impatient cat that goes in and out the house, and I think Danny just there she is. And the cat was just harassing Danny to let her out.
Thanks so much, Amal, also for your last post to Facebook, where you shared, I already know because you shared with me before, how you shared your own story with the UN women. That's really impressive, so really great. Congratulations. We lost Luis, I'm afraid, because his internet was put down. So I think they have a restriction right now in Uganda. So yeah, if you do not have questions anymore, then I would allow Jules also to close the session, and Amal and Rukaya and everyone who's listening to this workshop recording now, obviously also Jules will be available. So if there's more questions, you can send it in the WhatsApp group or send it to me or to Rukaya, and we collect it and then we give it all together to Jules. So not everyone is directly bringing it to Jules, but we will arrange it for you. And yeah, thank you so much again from my side, Jules, that you're taking the time and giving us so great expertise so that everybody can have great videos. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Thanks for taking the time to come in for the call. It's very, very lovely to meet you and talk to you. And looking forward to seeing your presentations.
Thank you so much.
Great, thank you. So bye-bye, Amal.
Jules.
I hope you could follow.
Rukaya, Jules. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye, Rukaya. I hope you have better internet next time, and we will talk tomorrow.
Yes, thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye, everyone.